Okay, so next day, I took the clutch basket off. It was not cracked, but the race that is in there is out of spec. There are cracks, or one main crack that I'm concerned about. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. And it goes up to here and across and comes out right here. I don't know if it goes further, if it goes past the transmission trap door. But I'm gonna pull the transmission out and we're gonna take a look. All right, so I may be able to fix this. I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna go down to where this let go, and I'm gonna look for all the parts, all the busted pieces that I can find. There's more that I have. The better chances I have of getting everything together properly and welded back up. This metal is just so oil saturated and old that it doesn't weld up well. But I can't mess it up any more than it already is. If that crack does not go past that transmission trap door, that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to weld this primary flange, or I don't know what you call it, but weld this all back together. Maybe. That's what I'm thinking about right now. I'm going to go down the street and look for bits and pieces. So here I am where I blew out my primary, and I'm coming down here to look at pieces, look for pieces, sorry, and there's already been a crew out here doing patches and whatnot. My pieces are probably no longer here. It looks like they've swept prior to doing these patches. Exactly along the stretch where I lost the pieces. So just my luck. I came down here to look for pieces of my primary case, and right along the stretch where I blew out are all fresh patches, and it's all swept clean. I was going to come down here last night and do it, but I figured I'd see better in the morning. Well, so much for my plans. Well, this really blows. I was hoping to find more pieces than just that one. My guess is that I've recovered maybe 30% of what's missing between yesterday and just now. My wife wanted to go down here last night with a flashlight, and I thought to myself, no, that's just going to be a pain in the ass. We'll wait till the morning. So here's two lessons. When you're riding an old motorcycle, always do safety checks. Check your belt tension, your chain tension, your oil levels, and listen to your wife. All right, so I pulled the transmission out to get a look to see where that crack went, and it stops at the curb. So you can see that this thing's been welded on. I've welded on it numerous times. I'm not afraid to weld on it. This whole piece here was welded back into place. All this built up, and it's held up over the years. So I think I can weld that up. Let me get rid of that glare. Now, while I had this open, I wanted to show you something off topic, but if you have one of these bikes, you'll be interested. One of the weak points to these is this counter shaft. The transmission counter shaft pocket, for lack of a better term. Right here, this whole thing. Now, this is a notorious weak spot, and almost every used case that I've seen on the market that has had work done on it has had repairs in this area. Now, I've done repairs as well. What I did was, at one time my transmission came apart and broke some teeth, and the distance between the main shaft and the counter shaft increased enough to blow out this seat. You can see a crack right here. So instead of weld this up and create more issues for myself, I had a ring made. I don't know if you can see around the outside of this is a ring. It's stainless steel. And I had it made so I could press it over this. Now, the end of that counter shaft rides in this cup, this needle bearings. So I didn't need a real good surface in here. I just needed something to hold this bearings. And then, I don't know if you can see this piece down here, but it's a piece of billet, and I have I epoxied that into place, and it's cradling this whole thing, keeping this distance between the counter shaft and the main shaft nice and rigid. So far it's worked. It's been there for years, and I haven't had any problems with it. But back to what I've found. Alright, so back to this crack. I can gouge this out on both sides and get a bead laid in there. I'll gouge out this side and gouge out the other side and weld it up. I think I'll be okay. This really isn't structural here. It is and isn't. But one of the things I found when I pulled the trap door off, the transmission out of here, is this bolt was missing. Now, I've rebuilt this transmission numerous times, and the last time I've done it, I helicoiled all the, there's 4 bolts that hold that trap door in. All 4 bolts holes were helicoiled and bolstered up. And I thought that I used some retaining compound or thread locker. Apparently I had not, because all the bolts were not loose, but not snugged up like I would have. I would have torqued them to about 40 pounds. I just noticed a crack right here. I'm gonna have to do something to mitigate that. It looks like it goes all the way through. It's a possibility that this bolt came out while I was riding and caused all this damage. It was either that or the chain was too loose. Either way, my fault. I also found some missing teeth on the PTO sprocket. You can see a few teeth right there. Now I would think that the chain coming off would not have done that. It's possible. I'm just trying not to feel like such a dipshit. All right. So the next step is get this motor out of the frame. I don't know if I'm gonna have to split the cases to do the welding. I have to mitigate some of the heat, and this weld right here is really close. It's only a couple inches away from where the 2 cases mate. There's pros and cons. If I split the cases, I can make sure that the weld prep is done really well and nothing's in the way. But the downside with that is I basically would have to rebuild the motor. And if I was going to rebuild the motor, it'd probably be cheaper for me to buy another one. So I'm going to try welding it up without splitting the cases and see what happens. I can't make it any worse, really. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's time to put this bike, just drain everything out of it and clean it up and put it in the living room or up on the wall. But the next step is yanking the motor out of the frame, and I'm in no hurry. I will record welding. Thanks for watching.